So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this second segment, which is talking about D'Angelo Russell and his recent trade. You like that jersey swap that I did there? Well, D'Lo, this has happened to him before. Like, ironically enough, this exact scenario has happened to him before. In his first few years with the Lakers, he played with them, and then the Lakers decided to trade him over to Brooklyn. Then, out of nowhere, when he was on Minnesota, then later on Golden State, the Lakers decided to trade him back to the Lakers, all for them to just trade him back to the Nets. So he's going back and forth, and it's a little bit ironic how, of all the teams that he gets traded to, it's the Brooklyn Nets that the Lakers decide to trade him back to. And I'm curious how that's going to work, given that D'Angelo Russell, he plays point guard, and then there's also Cam Thomas, who also plays point guard for the Nets, which is it's a very confusing why the Nets would want D'Angelo Russell back. But again, not really going to complain about that. Now, in this trade, the Lakers, they traded not just D'Lo, they also traded Maxwell Lewis as well as 3 second-round picks to the Nets in exchange for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. This was the blockbuster trade that all the Lakers fans were expecting. And of course, the trade ended up being like a little bit of a dud. This is not Zach LaVine, and I expected the Lakers to trade for Zach LaVine, and they still have not done that yet. I don't know I still don't know what's going on in Chicago. I don't understand what exactly their goal is. I don't get it. They keep trying to win with Zach LaVine, and it's just proven that it doesn't work, yet they still want to keep him on the roster. I don't understand. And the Lakers, they've said that they were going to, do a trade eventually, but this, Dorian Finney-Smith, that's the player that the Lakers desperately wanted to get in the trade. That's who they decided to give up 3 second-round picks for. Dorian Finney-Smith. Now, I will say that this puts them a little bit under the salary cap. So that is a plus for the Lakers, putting them below the salary cap and not needing to pay D'Angelo Russell all of that money. But again, Dorian Finney-Smith, while they do need a 3-and-D player, and that's what Dorian Finney-Smith is, most of the time when Lakers trade for a 3-and-D player, it doesn't end up turning out as well as they expected to. Really, Dorian Finney-Smith, I'm still caught up on that trade. That's really who they decided to go grab with the assets that they had. It does not make any sense to me. So, again, it gives the Lakers a versatile 3-and-D player. He averaged 10 points per game, 4 rebounds per game in the season for the Nets, I will say that. And he's also played for the Nets since Kyrie Irving got traded to the Dallas Mavericks back in 2023. And he's shooting a career-high 43% from 3 in this season. And he's also known as being a very competent defender. I completely understand the Dorian Finney-Smith move. But again, I just don't think it's going to pan out the way that it works, and I don't think that this is the trade that the Lakers should have been pursuing when there were other players in the trade market like Zach LaVine. And speaking of the trade market, I might as well go ahead and talk about the possibilities and some other trade rumors that have been going around, because there are some teams that are expecting to trade some of their players. I know that Jonas Valanciunas is one of those players that's expected to be traded and is going to be on the trade block very soon, because we do know the trade deadline is approaching. The trade deadline is, I believe, around February 6th, maybe February 8th, something like that. And Valanciunas is a big name on the trade block, as well as Malcolm Brogdon, Jordan Clarkson. But again, these guards, they are not Zach LaVine, and they're not the kinds of guards that I think the Lakers would want. And for Jonas Valanciunas, the Lakers, they had a chance of grabbing Jonas Valanciunas in free agency, yet they chose not to, which, again, another confusing move from the Lakers. They keep messing up chances, and speaking of which, I completely forgot to mention this, happy birthday to LeBron, the greatest basketball player of all time. He turns 40 this year. Again, 40. Meaning there's most likely not going to be many years that you're going to have LeBron. So LA needs to make a big move while they have LeBron. And they keep messing that up. And with this trade, with all the pieces that they've given up, those are some assets that you can give to other teams that might intrigue them a little bit in the future. Now, again, they're just second round picks. They're not first round picks, so teams aren't really going to be, jumping the gun for those second round picks as they are going to be jumping the gun for first round picks. But still, these are assets that you can put in a trade, and they wasted it on Dorian Finney-Smith, in my opinion. I'm not entirely sure whether or not Dorian Finney-Smith is going to be able to fit in the Lakers system, but he should theoretically. But again, they just have bad luck with 3-and-D players the last few times that they traded them, which is why I'm still a little bit skeptical on this. And while they did, the picks that they also gave up, the second round picks were for 2027, 2030, and 2031. I feel like I should mention that. And the pick in 2027 only conveys to Brooklyn if it doesn't go to Utah, which is another thing that I should have added before. And this would happen if the Lakers' first round pick that year lands in the top 4. And they also created a trade exception for $3,768,000, which is good through next December 29th. So already done. And it's likely going to be a limited value, but you're never going to really, you never know exactly how these trades work and how the market works with these kinds of things. Now, at best, the Milton as a replacement level is going to be a shoot-first guard whose minimum contract money is going to be non-guaranteed for this season. So obviously, the most important piece that the Lakers wanted in this trade was Dorian Finney-Smith, which again, not entirely sure how that's going to work. But 43% from 3, that is very promising, especially in a system where JJ Redick is the coach, and JJ Redick extremely, he values the three-point shot a lot. We've seen it in the way that he plays and the way that he coaches. The team really, much more than last year's team, they like shooting the 3-ball. And I still think that JJ Redick has been putting the Lakers in a very, very good position to win these games. It's just they need more talent on the roster. And that's sort of the thing that I realized in this season as the Lakers continue to lose a couple of games. Now, they have a winning record, so it's not all bad. They did not have a winning record at this point of the year when Darvin Ham was their coach. But again, the talent is just not all there. Part of that is because D'Angelo Russell was playing probably some of the worst basketball that he's ever played until recently. And maybe with him off of the roster, things will change. But again, not entirely sure how this is going to work at the end of the day. And it's honestly just funny how D'Angelo Russell gets traded from the Lakers back to the Nets twice. And ironically enough, this isn't the first time that that a player has gone to a team in almost a similar scenario. I mean, I remember the Lakers, they traded Russell Westbrook over to Utah, and then Utah immediately waived him. And then the Clippers, the other LA team, they ended up getting rid of Russell Westbrook, sent him back to Utah, and then he got waived again. It's it's a deja vu time and a deja vu moment in the NBA. But it's again, this is a very weird trade. I don't think this was the trade that Lakers fans were looking for, and we're just going to have to see whether or not Dorian Finney-Smith can fit in the Lakers system. But that's all that I have in this second segment. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the third segment, where we talk about the Sacramento Kings firing their head coach and some of the reasons why he might have been fired, as well as my opinions on him getting fired. So I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.